I stand by this. Spite is awesome. It is absolutely magical. The stuff that you can get done through spite. The stuff that you can get done in your effort to beat other people at their game or at the game that you both are deciding to play. Absolutely possible and a wonderful source of motivation. But as I've gone on, like I've had people that didn't want to do an episode because of the title of the show. What's spite mean? Again, at the beginning, it very well was probably more vindictive than the way it rests in my head right now. Spite was an ability for me to say, suck it. Look what I did. You couldn't do it.
What the hell's going on out here?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fueled by Spite. This one in particular is special. So you're going to want to sit down. You're going to want to take a listen, take a gander, maybe take out a pen and some paper, take some notes. Because to quote the most overrated cast member in the history of Saturday Night Live, I'm 50. Shit, what's her name? I forgot it. See, that's how overrated she was. Molly Shannon. Absolutely terrible choice. The amount of time that she spent on SNL is a travesty. But I digress. This is the 50th episode of Fueled by Spite. How does that make you feel? Makes me feel pretty damn good. Now, why? Why does it make me feel good? Because it means that I've done something that many people who attempt to do what I've done have failed at. What do they say? Like 9 out of 10 podcasts don't make it past 10. Like, so, I don't know. Go look up random podcasts and see how many of them wither and die between 10 and 20 episodes. God forbid if they don't even make it to 10 episodes. Same thing in business. I've been in business for a decade. How many businesses die in year 1, die in year 3, in year 5? How many businesses don't make it to 10 years? A lot of them. So, if there's nothing that you've gained from this so far, one of my strengths is competition. And one of the things I love to do is to be better than people, to beat people at things that they're attempting to do. I touched on this in a previous episode. Basically, what I want to do here, okay, so Molly Shannon, worst member of SNL, bar none, in the history of time. Another thing that really grinds my gears, if I could just start to pull quips and phrases from television, is the clip show episode. Now, I don't watch a whole lot of current television. If I do turn on the TV and I'm watching something for me instead of the kids, I'm watching reruns of stuff on Netflix and Hulu and the like. But when you're watching it live, when you are a child of the 80s and 90s and you have to be in front of the TV at a particular time to catch a particular show, because if you're not there, you're going to miss it. One of the greatest letdowns of my youth was realizing that the show that I'm about to watch was a clip show, was a memory show, a past show. They've only got 21 minutes to put together a show. So the cast members do the most minimal amount of dialogue in reminiscing about past things that happened that season. Ah, man, the worst. So this is not that. This is not a clip show. But this is from intro to evolution. This is the 50th episode. This is the things that I have learned, that I have honed in on, that I have focused on, that I have detailed in my growth. One of those things not being proper microphone placement. In my growth through 50 episodes of Fueled by Spite. So that means there's 25 episodes of this solo stuff. There's 25 episodes of interviews. When we started, my guy Sumo, the guy who does all this, all I do is press record. I am a talking head. Sumo does the work. But he goes, hey, interview your friends first. Why should I do that? Probably because you're a really shitty interviewer and you want it to be conversational. So talk to people that you know. So then it will sound better. It was great advice. So we've got 25 interviews in. We've got 25 solo things in. From intro to evolution. And if this thing if it's done nothing, it has certainly evolved. Okay. Especially if you go back and you watch the first couple of clips. Because when I started this thing in 2022. The first episode, the first recording was recorded December 19th of 2022. It aired April 18th. December, January, February, March, April. It aired 4 months later. So the first recording was December 19th of 22. The second recording was January 11th of 23. In between those two recordings, the office flooded. So I recorded episode in December. I recorded one in January, and I recorded one in February. First one didn't air till April. There was April, May, and June. So I recorded one a month. I dropped one a month. Now we're recording and dropping one every week. Because once you get a system down, this stuff is easy. This stuff is super solid. Because literally, like, all this stuff just sits on a cart. I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're going to repeat what we don't repair, right? So what did I do? I repaired my systems so I could start putting these things out better. I repaired my systems so I could put them up more frequently. But in doing this too, what is this thing? Like, I've done 50 of these. Why haven't you? Why haven't you done 50? It's not hard. It's something you have to do. It is harder than scrolling on your phone. It's harder than watching reruns of television shows from days gone by. It is something that needs to be done. But for all intents and purposes, I mean, if you're going to do something great, you got to kind of turn your back on the masses, right? I mean, the conductor of an orchestra turns his back to the crowd and puts out something absolutely beautiful. So what is this thing? What is this fueled by spite? I've hinted to it. I've alluded to it. Don't worry. I'm not going to drop any big bombs or knowledge or anything right now. But this is going to be the baseline, the foundation for some sort of, I'll say coaching program for lack of a better word that's refusing to pop into my head right now because I'm not going to be a coach. I will gladly be a mentor. I will gladly be a counsel, if you will. But that's what this whole thing is about. Even on episode 1, I'm telling you about how I'm doing this because I want to help people. I want to help more people. And a podcast is a wonderful way to do that. From a chiropractic standpoint, I help people with my hands, and I can only do one at a time. I can't even have you lie side by side and press on you both at the same time because then you both get a half-ass adjustment. My goal in this life is to help as many people as possible. And this medium, if you will, allows me to reach more people, right? So, for all intents and purposes, I've done better than you in the realm of podcasting. Because what do we want to do here? We want to celebrate our accomplishments. Again, episode 1, episode 2, that was part of the impetus for starting this whole thing. Was, and this is still happening, I'm making a ripple, but like, you're only allowed to celebrate your accomplishments if somebody asks, generally speaking. Like, if you do something badass, it's just seen as boastful. It's seen as braggadocious if you tell everybody without them prompting you to. Why is that? Why can't we just go around and tell people the awesome stuff that we do? Why can't we tell people the crazy stories that we've overcome in the pursuit of our own happiness and success? Oh, I just did an interview with a woman who has a 6-hour commute, 6 hours round trip, 3 hours each way. She comes from Edmond, Oklahoma to here to work because it's what she loves to do. And that work isn't available for her in Edmond or Norman, Oklahoma. Started this off by saying, I want to be better than others by doing what others don't do. That's 50 fucking episodes. I shit you not. Go back and look. Go just hop on Spotify and look at podcast topics. And click on their profile and see how often they're releasing episodes. See when was the last episode they dropped. All this is consistency. You get a system going, and the whole thing just becomes clockwork. Get your schedule set, and this thing becomes clockwork. I record these episodes on Mondays and Tuesdays. If I've got one set for Tuesday, I delete the availability on Monday. If I've got one set for Monday, I delete the availability on Tuesday. Whatever day I'm not recording, this is the other day that I have a coaching call. It's very fluid and very easy when you get the hang of it. The only problem is you got to get the hang of it. I don't remember where she, if it was her podcast or in conversation or something. But my wife said something, Tamika Taylor, Evolution Collective, Say More Words podcast. She goes, people quit at stuff before they stop sucking at it. Yeah. That's why there's no episodes beyond episode 10 of So Many Places. Saw another quote this morning. If you're tired of starting from ground zero, stop quitting. Oh man. It's literally that easy. Hell, this 50 episodes, all this is just me not quitting. This is something I said I was going to do, and I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it. I want to be better than the guy who's doing better than me. These are just kind of quotes I shared in the intro here. I want to share things that allows you to overcome obstacles. I want to help people who want to win and feel like they can't cheer if they do. My superpower is my ability to get shit done. Gotten it done at least 50 times. This is episode 50. I'm 50. Molly Shannon sucks. As an actress, I can't speak to her as a person. But I've done 50 episodes of this. I've come across 25 really badass people. Just kind of scrolling through some old reels. Basically doing my own clip show. About Kaylin taking feet pics of her dog and trying to put them on OnlyFans. Evan Cutt's still one of the coolest things I heard. What keeps you going, man? Evidence. Evidence keeps him going. Shit, me too. Absolutely. Why do I keep doing this? Because there's evidence that this is necessary. People enjoy this, or so I'm told in my echo chamber. Or, you know what? I just really have fun doing this. I really like to get out there, if you will, and share what's going on and how I have attacked this problem or this situation or things I've learned about myself. Because if you've been following along here, especially on these solo episodes, there's a lot of learning that's been going on, and it's not just from a technical standpoint. Where's the best way to put this cord? Where should I point that light up there so there's not a glare on the TV or on my glasses? It's how have I started to think about things? How have I changed the way that I've been thinking about things? What are the lessons that I've learned? What are the behaviors I have exhibited or had in the past that might need a revisitation, that might need some tweaking or some outright changing of their own? There is some of this in that this is, again, for lack of a better word, this podcast is detrimental to me because it is a way for me to avoid other things that need to be done. This podcast is a way, I've got XYZ that needs to be done. Man, but you know what? I'd really like to get out ahead of this whole shooting schedule, so I should probably record another podcast episode. To be privy enough to have the wherewithal to realize that that's what I'm doing to myself. And not just with this podcast. We all do it with all kinds of things. How many of you were in college or JUCO or something, or were in a situation where studying needed to be done? But for whatever reason, you also decided the fucking house needed to be clean. So you cleaned the house. And then you got a B or C on the test. Raise your hand. This guy, I've done that. Same thing. Got stuff that needs to be done for the office here, but I've got to record a podcast episode. Now, this here, I recorded. This is episode 50.2. I recorded 50 already. But I didn't like it. It felt forced. It didn't feel organic. This feels organic. I didn't prep enough for the show. And if you go back, you look at the first few episodes, there's zero prep work done. Apart from maybe a couple of word outline. It was a very stream of consciousness, stream of thought, unfiltered kind of thing. Now, there's certainly stuff to get out of it, but you'd have to dig for it a little bit more. That's one thing that has come across this also, is I've become better adept at setting up an intention behind the episode in hopes that you get more out of the 10, 15, or 20 minutes that we share together. That is far more concise. But also with that too, that forces creativity. Because again, I don't know if you've heard, but I've done 50 of these. Things can get repetitive. And things really get repetitive if you don't go in there with a plan. So speaking of repetition, a couple of repetitive themes that have come up lately and have come up again in the show. And it's your schedule. I do these on Mondays and Tuesdays. That's it. Because I got other stuff to do other days. You should really stick to a schedule. And you too can record 50 podcast episodes. But it blows my mind. I mean, the guy who popped up on episode 1, side note, you'll see I'm wearing a tie today. This is an homage to James Taylor from December 19th of 2022. I'm going to be your host. Host of what? Host of this podcast. This is Fueled by Spite. Now, I stand by this. Spite is awesome. It is absolutely magical. The stuff that you can get done through spite. The stuff that you can get done in your effort to beat other people at their game or at the game that you both are deciding to play. Absolutely possible and a wonderful source of motivation. But as I've gone on, like I've had people that didn't want to do an episode because of the title of the show. What's spite mean? Again, at the beginning, it very well was probably more vindictive than the way it rests in my head right now. Spite was an ability for me to say, suck it. Look what I did. You couldn't do it. But then somebody questioned, okay, well, what happens after that? Well, the next obvious answer is you find the next guy, you find the next girl, you find the next thing that you want to do. But that at the same time is very reactive and very reactionary. It lacks a plan. It lacks a schedule. It lacks control. Now, you can still be spiteful. And trust me, I am. But I am far more thoughtful and calculated about my spite now than I was December 19th of 2022. Way more calculated and thoughtful about my spite and its use than I was when I was 18 or 22. And this really came to fruition when I was allowed to be a guest on another episode or another podcast with Dr. Skip Weiss out of Green Bay. And he shed a light on it. He goes, "Did you ever play individual sports?" No. So you're always team sports. Yup. That's why you can't compete with yourself. That's why I want to be better than I was yesterday. It doesn't matter to you. And he's right. It didn't. I don't care how I was yesterday. Because if I'm the one at this point in my life, if I'm the one setting the standard, it's easy to slack. But if I'm chasing somebody who's already out ahead of me, cool. I can go after that guy or that girl or that thing. And that's spiteful. I want to beat you because of the standard that you set. Man, that almost sounds like a compliment. If I'm competing with you, you're welcome for the compliment. You have done something worth going after. You have done something worth duplicating. If I'm coming for you, you're welcome. This was way better. This is way better than 50.1. There are two types of people in this world. Those who are uninformed or those who are just flat out idiots. At least after this episode and the 49 that came before it, you can no longer say that you were uninformed. So you got that going for you. Because you will 100% learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. And that's because that's how I have designed it. Like, share, follow, tell your friends. You want to get in on this? Shoot me a message. Let me know. This is really fun for me. And I love hearing your stories. And I love hearing you tell about the people who said, I bet you can't do it. But I love hearing it more. And I love seeing the smile that comes across your face when you tell me how you did. Those are fun conversations to have. You want to have those conversations? Let's have those conversations. I will gladly give you a podium to stand behind and tout your greatness in the face of those who said you couldn't do it. Right here on Fueled by Spite. 50 down. Lifetime to go.